What's up? Welcome to another market recap. Today is September 4th, 2025. So interesting session, I guess. Still no trades for me for the week, unfortunately. The trades I was waiting for on yen, if we go back in time, pull the pivots back up, essentially gave these double bottoms. You can see on the 10-minute time frame, as well as you can see it a little bit on the 1 hour, but mainly on the 10-minute time frame and 2-minute, right? These double bottoms. And before price pulled back to the area of entry, which nullified the trades for me. So, I mean, the main trade I was waiting for was this Swiss yen. And my alert triggered, of course, but as I'm sitting here looking at this after it kind of developed, what I'm waiting for to truly happen is how price is pulling back right here, is to get this pullback to get this and then be able to play the wave from there. So we relatively got the pullback I was looking for, but it happened in the first hour of the day of the market rollover. So spreads are astronomical. So the pair is not tradable. Usually when stuff like this jumps a lot, i.e. spreads are high, so price volatility is up, it'll go back to roughly what it was when the market flipped, and it did. And so I was anticipating price was going to then push up, pull back to that area, give me an entry and allow me to go short. Instead, it kind of just kept going from there until it formed this double bottom, retesting the previous lows, which is my first initial target. Same kind of situation we ran into yesterday with the pairs we had on watch, the pound pairs, right? And then price pulled back. And I'm sitting here and watching this, and I'm entertaining possibly taking the trade because even though there is the double bottom, but I want to see like some pretty clear deceleration to take it. And as I'm sitting there waiting for it, I mean, this is the first kind of potential entry that I saw. And then you had another kind of small 2-minute double top, another potential entry. And of course you had another potential entry on this third, on the triple top. So, but at this point, it was getting about 1 o'clock in the morning for me. There was high impact news coming out for Swiss. I think it was Swiss CPI was at 130. And I don't like to trade a currency pair if there's high impact news. Primarily, I don't want to have just entered a position if there's high impact news. I'm fine with taking a trade if there's high impact news, if there's still several hours until that news comes out, so price can potentially move in a positive direction for me to where I can start mitigating some of the risk and taking it off the table before the news comes out. But I don't want to be at full risk when news comes out. And if I took this trade, that's essentially where I would be. I would just be sitting in a sideways position waiting for the news to trigger. And the news did trigger. At this point, CPI came out and it drove price down. Briefly, and then it just went sideways and got another kind of triple bottom here on your 10-minute time frame, and then price really never did anything. It kind of just moved sideways in a range. So it's a potential trade, but due to the double bottom, it pretty much nullifies itself, and that's how all of the yens looked for the most part. I mean, you have another double bottom here on euro yen, so that was nullified for me. You had NOK yen, which actually looked pretty good, and it was a tradable pair for me once the spreads calmed down on it after a couple hours into the day, and then I got some volume in the pair. But it gave a little bit of a pullback, but it never pulled back to value. It just continued to hold It continued to hold the 1 hour 50 pretty nicely. So, but just didn't pull back to an area of value for me to take it. And then CAD yen, again, had a double bottom This is roughly where price was, in this area. So there's no real entry on this pair at any point. And then dollar yen, another double bottom, and then price reversed. I think the main takeaway I have is that I potentially could have traded these pairs off the double bottom, like the Singapore yen. It's a double bottom on the 4 hour 50, 1 hour 200. So I could play, or I probably should have played a wave 2 from there, right? But I think the position size was pretty short if I was going to try to do something like that. So I don't remember. I saw it at the moment, but yeah, it's just like I want to position size this so that it's a 2-to-1 before like the 1 hour 50 or 0.382 or anything like that. And it's just not possible really to do so with what I was seeing. But it's interesting. And then Aussie yen never really pulled back to the tops that I was looking for to potentially take this as an ABO play. It just kept moving sideways. And then Aussie Kiwi did pull back later in the day, but after it kind of broke down and pushed back up again. So at this point, I'm waiting. It's still a pair I'm actively watching, seeing how it reacts most likely to these extreme highs now. And then seeing how price continues to develop and drawing a different triangle from this point to this point. And seeing how this looks. I think a breakdown of this could be a nice trade. But I was also paying attention to this pair, and for whatever reason, my spreads on it are awful. So it'd be a tough pair. I could trade it. It's just I can't trade it with a tight position. It's got to be a relatively decent sized stop to make it make sense. And then dollar huff. Again, just kind of waiting to see what happens with this pair. It's coming. Never really triggered an alert. It just kept pushing from that level all day. But it looks like it's coming back and retesting lows, so we'll keep watching it. And then euro pound. I was playing a little bit with, potentially taking a wave 2 approach off this, this support level, the previous highs. But it didn't really line up with any kind of EMAs. So I don't love that. And the position size really just didn't fit when I threw this in here. Because like the smallest position size I can really go on a euro pound is 10 pips. This would fit if I could go like 5 pips on it or something like that. But then still I'd be having to trade through the 1 hour 50. But the trade would have worked out for, a 1R, 1.2, 1.3, something like that. If I was able to trade a 5 pip position on it. And yeah. So that was my session. Unfortunately, nothing really gave me what I was looking for. But I'm going to go make my watch list for the upcoming session, and I'll be back with you guys in a minute. All right, and we're back. So I have 3 groups. Granted, I don't feel great about any of these groups. I have a Kiwi group, an Aussie group, and a NOK group. Still a lot of ugly price action going on in the markets. I mean, you can kind of see it on most daily time frames, like it's just a ton of sideways price action. So it doesn't really fit too well in the kind of strategies I like to trade. But in the spirit of trying to hit my target this week, trying to make some of this work, I think the nicest pair I have for today is this pound Kiwi. You do have a break of like this trend line. You have a higher high coming back for a higher low, play wave 3. So like I'm looking at this as a wave 3 CBO, or you could say this is wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. This is a wave 5 CBO. 4 hour time frame though, I don't love. Daily time frame wise, it's been pretty bullish for a long time. Candles stick, you have a good bearish engulfing candle, so fine there, right? I mean, you pretty much are getting a bounce off the previous highs and the EMA area, so it looks okay. There's enough there on a daily time frame. There's enough here on a 1 hour time frame, I'd say. The only thing you really have protection is this trend line and the EMAs possibly. But I mean, the EMAs really weren't respected here. So it's tough to say. I think it's an option to maybe at least the highs. So I'll watch it here. I mean, 10-minute price action looks pretty, clean, just movement. It'd be an ACB on the 10-minute time frame. ACB, CBO, but nothing really on the 4 hour. Euro Kiwi, again, daily wise, has a good candlestick similar to pound Kiwi and a good 1 hour push. You have a higher high that's clear on your 1 hour and your 4 hour and your 10-minute. So those are all cool. And if the price pulls back to the pivot in this horizontal level, it'd be an ACB, and then your 1 hour would be a CBO ish. Doesn't quite fit, but it's something. I just don't love it. I'm stuck between, like, is this forcing a trade or is this taking a valid trade that's in front of me? Because if I'm looking at a trade like this versus what I would like to trade, I'd never trade something like this. But in a lack of options, I need something. Kiwi yen had like this really tight IBO yesterday, had a follow through. So I'm looking at this as like a CBO. But again, 4 hour time frame, I don't love it. So I could say this is going to bounce from this level past all of this and give us like maybe a double top. And stop protection wise, position size, I don't even think I can take something that's tight on a Kiwi yen. Still watching Aussie Kiwi for potential ABO. But I'm not sure if this will really be a play today at this point, or if this is probably going to be going into Sunday, Monday next week. Euro Aussie, similar to Euro Kiwi, a little nicer price action maybe. It's like about the same. The issue is like it's hitting this 4 hour 50 and it's been respecting it. So this level's held pretty well. I think from a 10-minute time perspective, there was potential for a nice kind of 10-minute play, but price needed to pull back a little further. I think if you draw in a fib level in here, it didn't quite pull back to value, but it had potential for sure. But still have it flagged, watching it, see what happens, see if you get some nice deceleration here, maybe entertain a trade. But you'd have to trade right into the EMAs that it's been respecting is the difficult part. So not great. Pound Aussie, again, it's kind of already rejecting EMAs. 4 hour time frame, you don't have a lot. I mean, you're just in a downwards trend, and this looks like a pullback in that trend. So it feels kind of trappy, right? You don't really have a break of a trend line or anything here on your 1 hour. If anything, it's holding that trend. So then trying to trade into this doesn't feel great. It could work out still. Like if you delete this trend line and just look at it, I mean, you still could pull back to an area of value and then get a push and potentially like a double top before it continues. Hence why I have it flagged. And then Aussie yen, still watching this pair for a potential ABO. But again, it may not be until a Sunday, Monday type play. And then Aussie Singapore. Watching it, see how it develops. But I mean, the spread on it's pretty large at this point, and we're past the first hour of the day. So I know this is a tradable pair, but it needs to be the right position size for me to trade it. And then there's this dollar knock. Looks okay-ish. Kind of a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5, like CBO. Your 10-minute time frame looks okay. I mean, you have a higher high on both your 10-minute, your 4-hour and your 1-hour. You have a break of the 4-hour 50. You have a break of both the EMAs on the 1-hour. They relatively line up with the pivot and 0.382. It's just the issue is the entry would be right about right now for this. Daily time frame looks okay as well. But the spread on this is too large. I can't trade something with a spread this big. I know the spread will tighten on this, but it may take an hour or two, if not longer, for it to tighten. And by that point, I think the entry might be gone for this, but I'll keep an eye on it. There's Euro knock, similar price action to dollar knock, just not as clean of a break of your 4-hour 50. And your daily is already kind of hitting some resistance versus dollar knock, you have room to move into resistance. And then there's CAD knock. This has a nice kind of daily level here, which I really like. A good kind of level to bounce off of. And we have pushed off of it, but I just wish we had a stronger break of this 4-hour 50, because again, price has just been holding it pretty well. And this just could be another rejection back to retest the lows. So, yeah. So if anything, I would probably label like this dollar knock and this pound kiwi as tradable. The rest of these, I just kind of have to see how they develop and what they look like throughout the day, right? And besides, like, I think these ABOs are still nice. This Kiwi yen and Aussie yen still have potential, even if they like broke down from, well, not this one. What was it? Aussie Kiwi. Yeah, these two Aussie pairs essentially. So. But the rest of these, like I could just see trades on these playing out in either which direction. It almost feels like a coin toss if the trade would work out or not, is what I don't like. Versus looking at this trade, I'm like, all right, there's a better probability that price action is at least going to probably come back, retest, and get a pop up. How far that pop goes is the question. Daily time frame wise, you could push to the daily highs, which is more than enough to hit our 2R target. So it has potential, right? There's nothing really in the way if price continues and you do have a good, strong, bullish push. So I'll entertain this. I think it's worth a shot. And then dollar knock, I think it's also worth a shot. I'm just a little cautious on this due to the spread, but also this pair itself is kind of spiky. And I don't love the position size of like 28 pips on this. Just, you can see in the past, like right here where it spiked, here where it spiked. And if I get one of these spikes, it's in the wrong direction. It's likely to knock me out of the trade before like spike me out and then reverse is my kind of hesitation. So. But yeah, man, I'm starting to get kind of tired of the pretty crappy price action the past few weeks. I know it's just part of the game, and this is where like patience really comes into play. But I also know there is opportunities if you spend the time to find them throughout the week to be able to hit targets. So. And this week, I had the opportunity so far to capture probably 1R with that Euro-Mexican trade that I slept through, which is a little bit other of a kind of annoying factor. But I'm also, since I'm going into the last session of the week, going to make some 4-hour watch lists. Granted, I won't be making videos on these or anything, but around 8 o'clock my time. So here in about a little less than 3 hours, I'll go through and make a 4-hour watch list, which is targeting a 10-minute run. And I'll probably do that at 8 and then midnight and then potentially 4 o'clock in the morning if I'm still awake. And then maybe once or twice through New York if I still haven't found a trade, to give myself some options here. So anyways, that's all I got. And I will catch you guys next week. See ya.